Timur really wants you to sing it in Russian. I go, I can't sing in Russian. He goes, he really I go, Timur must be pals with every Russian band that exists. I can't believe there's anybody he doesn't know in Russia. Why doesn't he just he goes, no, he thinks it'd be really great if you did it. Oh man. So now I'm in my final 3 nights of mixing Hellboy, and about to go back to New York to actually do the performances of the ballet, for Rabbit and Rogue. And I said, I can't do Russian, so we'll have somebody do a translation. So they send over lyrics. I go, I need help. And so they hired a woman who spoke Russian to be like a coach. And I have to tell you, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, Russian is a motherfucker of a hard language. It's really difficult. All Slavic languages are for English speakers. I mean, there's consonants that we just don't put together. There's a Z before an S, and there's 6 different ways to say the letter E. And it was killing me because, again, it was after mixing. I'd go in, and she'd sing a line to me, and I would sing it back to my ear exactly the way she was singing it to me. And she'd laugh, and she'd go, oh, no, instead of saying the word alive, you said the word potato, or something like that. I mean, something equally as ridiculous. And she's laughing, and I couldn't hear the difference. I honestly, between what she's telling me to do, and I just did one line at a time, and it was so hard. And again, it was I know they're not going to keep this and use it, but for Timur, all right, because if I like a director, and if a director is if I get along, if we have a rapport, if there's respect on both sides, which there definitely was, there really is nothing I won't do. I mean, if the director says, will you crawl over this glass, it will really make a big difference. I beg you, please crawl over the glass. For most directors, most of the time, there's a couple I'd tell them to fuck off, but there's got to be at least a half a dozen or more that, all right, I'll do it, fuck it, for you. So it took me 3 nights. I mean, literally, the end of the first night, I just got one verse down. And so in Russia, you'll hear me sing in Russian, I guess.
Well, you got to put it up on iTunes. In Hellboy, the thing that connects the two films, they're essentially movies about outsider superheroes. One is a super assassin, the other is a super demon. And your music for both of them, it has a sense of this wonderful ridiculousness of both films.
Well, the only reason I did them both back to back is that I knew that there were really different tones to them. I met Guillermo, and I was actually on Hellboy first. And so when I met Timur about Wanted, I said, time-wise, technically, I could just make this work. But I was concerned tonally. I didn't want to do 2 scores back-to-back that were of the same tone. And it was not till I met Timur and saw the footage, I said, no, they're really different. I mean, Guillermo wants a really romantic homage to Bernard Herrmann and occasionally being silly. But the heart of Hellboy 2 is still a very big, romantic, and old-fashioned orchestral score. And Wanted, I knew that the center of Wanted was going to be a very different, a weird, twisted, kind of sarcastic thing, and something much, I don't know how to describe how it's different, but I knew that the sensibility was very different. And so I was able to go from one to the other and feel like I was still doing 2 very different things. Otherwise, because each of them have 80 minutes of music, so it would have killed me if I was doing 2 romantic scores or 2 scores of the same nature. Other than the fact that they both had big action sequences, which was really brutal. But if you take away the action sequences from the 2 films, the scores are very different, fortunately.
For me, the closest cousin of Hellboy 2 is Nightbreed, and that's a score in a film I think I like better than anybody else. Especially in Hellboy 2, you have this wonderful goblin market scene with the tribal percussion, tons of demons and monsters running around.
Oh, yeah, there's the I forgot about that. That was really just fun. That was kind of going back a ways, yeah. But Nightbreed was also essentially a really romantic and somewhat old-fashioned score, And I love when a director will let me kind of do something that's more like a nod to my own roots. As Guillermo, there was one sequence I finished with him, and he says, this music, you're making me feel like I'm 13 years old again. And I said, well, this is kind of the stuff I listened to when I was 13. So there was a lot of that element in Hellboy, which was really fun to be able to do that. The whole thematic romanticism of the prince and the princess, and mainly the Golden Army, the whole thematic side of the Golden Army, which was very Herman-esque. And there was a lot of moments where I got a tremendous delight, as did Guillermo, in kind of feeling like we're scoring like a George Pal Harryhausen film here, and that was great fun.
In spite of this wonderful old school Herman Harryhausen score, you have these really wonderful outsider moments in the score. This kind of 50s jazz music is Hellboy and his team arrive at the museum with the Tooth Fairies. And I think you have a theremin or something going on.
Yeah, there's a theremin. There's a theremin moment for the revival of the Tooth Fairy, and that was just more like the lighter, fun moments. When the Tooth Fairy comes alive, and there's a little bit of the James Bondiness in there, and that's more of like the tongue-in-cheek side of the Hellboy character. And there's like 3 times I think I did that to do this funny thing that Guillermo really wanted me to do, which is Hellboy's making a big entrance and is always going to follow it with some kind of, hey, how you doing? Or like the second time, huge, he says, you can't make it big enough. After the entrance, which I'm playing his big thematic fanfare, of which he stumbles and goes, hey, Abe, like that kind of thing. So he's drunk at that moment. So that's kind of the Guillermo's humor. It's like playing a big fanfare, always followed by a, hey, how you doing?
I mean, it's such a wonderfully absurd film. I mean, you've got one of the best sequences in the film, which brought the house down, is when Hellboy and Ape Sapien do an impromptu karaoke, not a karaoke of "Can't Smile Without You."
Yeah, I know. That's really.
Was it hard for you to judge where the music should be wacky and where it should be serious in a score like this?
It was so easy, because really, anytime we're on Hellboy, just kind of bopping around and doing his thing, is always going to be kind of tongue-in-cheek a little bit. You're always keeping that humor alive. Anytime we're on the Golden Army and the Prince and the Princess, it's always going to be, or Abe even, because he falls in love with the princess. So that side of it is always going to be more bigger, romantic, and so it was very easy in that sense to know when to go be tongue-in-cheek and when to suddenly turn on the juice and get big and romantic.
Is a score like Hellboy 2 closer to your heart than anything else?
I really can't say that it is. I just certain things hit moments where I'm really pleased with those moments. And Unwanted, every time I was writing that Steps of Fate theme and what you're calling the Russian theme for the montage, I was really enjoying myself. And I said, that's very close to my heart. That thumping, dun, 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 dun. I could have written that thing forever. I mean, I could have done variations on that piece forever. I just love doing it. And when I get to turn on the romantic juice and the big old-fashioned juju, for Hellboy 2 or stuff that Tim Burton lets me do frequently, that's also very close to my heart. So it's impossible to say that one is more me. I look in any movie I'm working on for something where I feel like I'm really getting my teeth into it and having fun. And so I was just lucky that those 2 films both had really a lot of stuff that I got to really kind of feel like this is really me. I'm really enjoying myself right now.
Now,